This video is brought to you by SimpliSafe. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. So the UPS guy said that there's 3 packages and they're rather large. Nobody deserves this much goodness all at once, and I needed it. Today I needed this. It is one of the largest turbos out in the world, and we use only one of these on our 4-rotor. That's a 94mm compressor wheel. This turbo is very well sized for a rotary. So rotaries being such high exhaust heat, you'll see that the turbine, so the hot side, is larger than the cold side. It's a 104 exducer, so the out on the turbine wheel is bigger. And the reason why is that rotary engines produce much hotter exhaust temperatures. What exhaust temperature really means is more energy is coming out of the car. Piston engines, sadly, are more efficient than rotary engines, so the exhaust is slightly colder, meaning that the energy was used in the engine. This combination is beautiful for a rotary engine. Like, when this starts to max out, so does that. And so you get the best of both worlds. I've personally have seen the car do about 1500 at the wheels on one of these turbos, and with the nastiest torque power band ever. And we have 3 of those in a row. Anything that we put this in will just be stupid power the whole time. Absolutely stupid power the whole time, and that's, I think, why we're all here. This is a very rare sight to see. We just cleaned the entire shop to be able to make this moment a little bit more special and realize what it actually is. Even Kitty's meowing at me upset. We have the Cosworth XD, 2.65 liter V8, 15,000 RPM, nuts, right? I finally feel confident enough to rebuild this. And that's why we brought down the big guns. It is finally time to go back to the stuff that you guys love about the channel. Obviously, with the 3-rotor, the whole goal was to learn how to make a car go, because a lot more problems happen a lot quicker. Dust also accumulates a lot quicker on these. So we're gonna roll these 2 down, dust them off, and then put the cars that we know work, the C5 and maybe the Diablo, up, put the covers on, and those go into hibernation mode while these come down for surgery.
I can't remember if this washes out.
It's gonna bottom out in the middle.
Yeah.
We'll find out. Oh yeah?
Not even the middle.
It is a long ass car.
The foot part's only good till you get it.
Damn it, it put a hole in the bottom of the front wing. Damn it, I picked like a thin fiberglass area on accident. It's not gonna stop me from being excited for this moment though. One of my favorite things about my life is that when you ask somebody about me and they're like, oh, I think I know that guy. Does he have the all-wheel drive 4-rotor? That just warms my soul, because it means that I created something that is memorable. That said, I've been storing it away to work on this thing and make it everything it's meant to be. But it has one last little hurrah. Now that we've showed you guys what we've been holding off showing you, it's finally time to dust it off and send it through its paces before we go under the knife for something nuts. But that's why it's next to the Indy car. And those 2 come down, and they are ready to get the surgery of their lifetimes. The one, the only, is ready to live another day. I may have just destroyed the front wing on the Indy car doing the same thing, but Joel was talking some shit, and of course had the camera off, when he doesn't realize there's a chromoly bar right there. So
it's been a minute.
Try that bullshit somewhere else, Joel. I'm picking it up for a very good reason. The steering rack is sitting right there.
Oh, see, it's already going in different
directions.
directions.
Doing weird things?
Yeah, this one's going that way.
Yeah, so the wheels are going to go do weird things, and the car would have done something stupid. So picking the front tires. Yeah, because it would have gone off the lift or... Hi, I'm Rob Dahm, and it is time to work on the 4-rotor. You know, in forklift training, they teach you to lower it at this moment. Too bad I'm not forklift certified.
You did that kind of fast. That scared me a little.
Calf workout of my lifetime. Simply Safe has always come out with new things, and in this case, it's a new outdoor camera. And it takes what they've used on their indoor camera to the next level. Using AI, is able to determine if something could potentially be a threat or not, or if it's a dog walker walking by, or if it's some of the neighbors that you're familiar with. The camera and the system can automatically identify that and try to prevent something from happening. Instead of just saying, oh, hey, traditionally somebody breaks in, then the alarms go off. In this case, it would say somebody suspicious is coming up. And there we are, outdoor camera, Series 2. Let's see what the camera looks like. Now this.
Oh, that's pretty clear.
And you know what's funny? Look at, it's still got the plastic on there. So with how easy it is to set up something that actually is rather complex, this is really an impressive display of their flagship model of the Active Guard protection. And you can set up familiar faces, and then the system really does almost all of the rest. And while Simply Safe has continued to revolutionize the security system for your home, or in my case, the shop, they have this sort of advanced technology with all AI and craziness, but they also have the core of what makes the system so great. The door, the glass break sensors, the temperature sensors, the fire detection sensors, the carbon monoxide sensor, the keypad, the panic buttons, the little key fobs, the base station, the indoor cameras, outdoor cameras. All of that is still part of such a comprehensive security system. Save 50% on your Simply Safe security system when you sign up for the core monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplysafe.com/RobDahm to customize yours. That's simplysafe.com/RobDahm. There is no safe like Simply Safe. So this is actually a very rare opportunity for many of you to see a Diablo, what historically a Lamborghini looked like from underneath it. And it's pretty wild. I don't know if there were panels here, but there aren't now. So it's really weird to see. This is the engine oil pan. And it makes no surprise it's like 15 quarts of oil. It's like 3 gallons plus. But the transmission is back here. And it's a transaxle type of thing, so you've got the diff right here. This car doesn't just stop right there with the transmissions right here, but the front drive shaft is here. And so this one's called VT for viscous traction. It's a certain type of all-wheel drive, but it sends it to this little baby front diff here, which there's no motor to fight with it, so it can sit right in the middle, have equal length axles, and I've got some sort of leak under here. But it's kind of funny because I think even us looking at it, it's a completely square tube chassis, and most people don't know this. This chassis is virtually identical to the Murcielago, same frame, but obviously a different car. Can't be surprised if they handle pretty similar. But all these rounded tube control arms, just really fascinating to see all of that coming together. But I think one of the funniest things in the back, twin dampers, 2 springs, 2 dampers. I don't know how you make sure that you're not on one more than the other. I guess it kind of figures it out itself out, but the majority of the weight of the car is in the rear. And so it kind of makes sense that you have the wide rear tires and more springs. Instead of stiffer springs, more springs. That is a lot more work than we expected. It's 11 o'clock. And if you think moving around cars is easy, it's not. Especially when 2 of them don't run. But that one's a lot easier than this one to move. So I'm so excited. This is kind of like messing around. We're taking things serious. You know what we're about now. Instead of dicking around, you know what we're talking about. This is the kickoff for the 12 rotor. It might seem a little late, but this is exactly the same time we started the 4 rotor and got it running by Sema, and that is a whole ass car. This, on the other hand, is, well, probably weighs more than a car. It's the 12 rotor. That's gonna require something a little special from a company called Vibrant. This is honestly my favorite thing in the whole world. That's a reveal all by itself. We have got a lot to go through here, but I think the most important one is this little guy right here. That simple. I'll show you what this is for. We've got to get that air delivered to that rotor and have space for heat shielding and so on. So we've got our work cut out for us, but thankfully we have the material to do that. The other issue that we're going to be doing with all this is trying to get these to be the same length of runners, because the length of the runner changes the RPM that torque comes on, and so you don't want to have different rotors getting different levels of air and having better advantages, so we want to try and make that equal length as well. But that all starts with raw metal that curves to the left. That's by far the biggest. Holy shit.
I didn't know we were doing 5-inch.
Oh yeah. We've got some challenges. One is that we have 3 of these. So we have 3 amounts of air all coming into this engine. Now, there's a lot of back and forth, but at the end of the day, this is a 4-rotor, this is a 4-rotor, and this is a 4-rotor. A, we can treat it where the 3 turbos feed the 3 4-rotors, but that could create this feedback loop that could be bad. Or B, we have it where they all go to the same main intake, and you can control the air that they all get. Either way is going to be a powerful way, and it's going to have its drawbacks and its benefits. We're going to find that out together, but Vibrant has a product for that. We're going to go ahead and put these all on the shelf and wait for surprising Rob with all of this. This is where the party is at for me, because there's gonna be exhaust coming out of here and on the same other side. So this is very hard now. Isaiah early on was one of the first people to really popularize this when I didn't even know shit about it. It is 321 stainless, so 321 SS, or as Joel just pointed out, it's Tres Dos Uno, 2-inch OD, 180-degree bend, 18 gauge, perfectly thick for rotary engines. 321 is expensive, but it's a fraction of the cost of having custom super thick stuff. This is never cracked, and I'm not even like trying to like be super nice to Vibrant. Their stuff speaks for itself. This is all the runners. It just sits right inside of there, and the two bond nicely and have a nice taper. We have an additional 8 to deal with, so this box will get used very quickly. Thankfully, the outer 2 turbos aren't a problem here. This is the side winding thing that Rob did is incredible, but the outer 2, we can treat it like a simple like 4-cylinder.
Does this runner length matter for those, or they just had to be equal?
So that does make a slight difference for spool up versus if this is really radiating heat, but yeah, we're not going to make the other 2 this long. That's a good question. So this is kind of, as long as they're equal length, all the pulses are getting to the turbo equally, and that's more important than having this header be the same length as that header. Will it make a difference? Yeah. Will it be measurable? Honestly, because of how insane this engine is, nothing's gonna be measurable. If one of these rotors dies, we won't know. I mean, we'll have EGTs on all 12, but like this engine has so many damn rotors. You could unplug one of the wires, one of the trailing or leading spark plugs. I will not know, especially with 2 of them firing at the same time. This is 23 days before Sema, no big deal. We have not only the materials from Vibrant, but we also have the man capable of turning them into art. Would you agree this is probably the hardest one out of all of them?
Yeah, definitely. Simply because, I mean, we have so much going on all the way around it. You have to really take in a lot of factors. We have all this room to work with. The only thing we have to really worry about is getting things close to the fuel rail and fuel injectors. We want to keep the heat away from there as much as possible. So I think I'm going to try to centralize everything. Turbo's going to be over here clearly. Yeah. But I'll try to get everything away from everything important.
With Ethan back, we're going to work on what Tyson had sent me a long time ago.
Starting shit.
Yeah. That's the bell housing, and we'll have 2 starters to start that. This definitely is a good.
Looks like
yeah.
Oh.
So that goes to something, and that something is right here. Thankfully, Tyson did the heavy lifting here, and has a massive dry sump system already done. 5 stages of vacuum and 1 pump. Rotor 1, 2, 3, 4, and then turbos and whatnot. That way each stage gets its own vacuum. Because down here, it's all the result of all of these. The reason why this matters so much is because those are actually, if you were to drop something in there, that goes directly to the bearing. And so this is more or less the, I guess, oil pressure relief on each side. Now the problem is, they both go to the 3rd bearing in the bottom. We're gonna have to come up with a solution that if this side gets dry, say this side has no oil in it, well, all the air for stage 1 is gonna pull from that side, this side's gonna clog up, and then you have, you know, oil going into the combustion chamber. So we got some logical issues there, but you see stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the shit coming off the back of the motor and the turbo oil drains. The world's population of IGN-1As, we have to figure out where we're gonna mount them, because all the spark plugs are all here. If you were to drop this motor on the ground, it would shatter a lot of spark plugs.
Next thing is to get this thing nice and round so I can put the flange on it. It's got to fit up. I can't weld that like that. So I don't really have to go very much. As long as I can get this in there to expand it out and make sure it's round, then we should be okay.
Looks promising.
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty good.
The most intoxicating feeling about having a team that's all busting ass is that you turn around and they're doing something cool too. And then you're like, well, I want to see what they're doing. And then you're like, ah, shit, I got to do my part because they want to turn around and see what I'm doing, which isn't as cool as what Ethan's been working on. He started pulling the parts out of the boxes. We just redid what he had done already. And then we busted out all of the world's supply of IGN-1A coils. And I think this is also half of the world's supply of spark plug wires. Ethan came up with a good idea of the spirit of my 4-rotor shopping cart living on. And so these are pretty beefy, and they should handle the weight that's on here, like without a question. But putting 4 of those down here, the only thing that scares me is, you know, trying to go over like an extension cord. Bringing the whole cart up a little bit gets this more at eye level, and also lets us really hang all those coils down there, out of sight, out of mind, at least aesthetically speaking. Because honestly, guys, this is where it starts looking like a motor. We'll probably shorten down those cables. I'll get like a kit to make my own spark plug wires and shorten them down. But we've got a couple issues. Ethan was looking where we're gonna mount a fuel pump. Well, we're gonna go mechanical. And on the back of most dry sump pumps, there's normally like a hex drive. And it's actually got that adapter plate for something back there too. So we will put a fuel pump, mechanical fuel pump, probably something from Aeromotive, on the back of here. Bust out more of the 4-rotor stuff. We'll bust out the little baby fuel tank and have it siphon from that, and then just have a massive fuel pressure regulator, and the circle of life continues. And we're gonna run on ethanol initially. No radiator, but full of coolant. First thing we want to do once we get it really making some power is go to the engine dyno, and they have just like hookups for that. So this is starting to get exciting for me because it's no longer just this responsibility, it's turning into an engine.
Somebody's jealous over there. No, stay on your task.
I never thought that, you know, building a 4-rotor would be like background noise. Oh, hey guys, what are you guys doing? I can help. I can help.
No, it's okay. You were good.
What they're doing, because Joel was asking questions off camera, annoying the shit out of them. He was joking around, like, and I was laughing with him. Like, are we gonna make the manifolds at the same time? And Rob's like, yeah. It's like,
I wanted to angle it so it's gonna sit. I don't want to do too crazy because I want to tax the brake, but
Yeah.
like,
yeah, something
yeah,
like that.
yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking too.
This definitely sets us up for better air movement.
Into the intake.
Yeah. I'm down to try it. update. Ethan put wheels on it. It makes it a lot easier to manipulate this thing and have the circus join us. That said, the circus just got even bigger. Rob's got a cool idea about making the runners the same lengths as this one, but I realized something very quickly is that to make them that length or closer, we're gonna have so much material that's gonna be hot that to reach over to get to the engine, like while we're working on something, it's gonna be massive. So I wanna elect to go for more of a more narrow, tight, even though they're not the same runner lengths as these, which is the only issue, at least they'll be equal lengths to each other. I can then Inconel shield that and not burn myself trying to get around all of it, much less all my wires getting melted doing that. Joel and I were just staring at what progress we've made, and we realized that we need to have clear measurements on what is equal on this, because there's nothing equal about this engine. The center of the motor, these two rotor sets are not symmetrical. They're not from the center of the motor, they're shifted. So keeping that in mind, we feel like, okay, the Mickey Mouse ears are the squareness of the motor. We need to have the center of the exhaust housings, the center of the turbo, at the same distance and height from here. I think you guys, what do you guys think? Agree? I think that's pretty universal. But that doesn't solve all of the problems. There is not a single turbo this size right here, that is counter-rotating. So what that means is that it spins clockwise from the front point and shoots the air out like this. To spin it the other way, so if we have this one coming up this way, this one coming up this way, they would have to rotate the opposite directions. I thought, okay, well, cool, we'll just get a different housing. No. You actually have to turn all the blades the opposite way. So all these blades that are in here are meant to spin this way. They have to. So you would have to do it this way to get them to go the other way. So that's why it's just not cost effective to build this size of a turbo, because nobody triple turbos anything.
Or twin turbos.
Twin turbos, yeah. Maybe there's a couple V8 guys in Pro Mod class, but it's not worth it. Honestly, I'm not Garrett, but it's not worth it for Garrett to make exact, equal, and opposite things. It'd sell maybe 10 of them. And most of those guys are probably sponsored anyways. That said, we have to work with both turbos spinning the same way. So having the height is the easy one, but then you notice that the snail is always, right-hand drive, is always, clockwise. Joel and I both agree that when you guys look at this motor, without knowing anything else about it, without having to hear the excuses, what you would want to do is the turbos are in the same spot, and then the height of both of these looks the same. Now that creates a little bit more work for Rob, but having it sit up higher, you can see the conundrum here is that to make things equal on both sides, not that easy.
So I'm pretty stoked. This thing came together a lot quicker than I kind of imagined it, honestly. We went through a couple renditions just because my brain versus Rob's, but we came out with this and I think they look great. Now it's time to take them apart and weld them because we need these things to actually flow. So let's make it happen.
Ethan has laid out the previous wiring harness for the 12 rotor. So Tyson and the guys at the time had made this, and there's a lot right, and there's a couple things that are evolved since this. Now, what makes me smile, this is the 1280 Adaptronic. I was given one of these long ago by my friend Elliot, to get working on the 3-rotor, and I didn't. I ended up using the 6000 series. Andy, who owned this, now is one of the head designers and engineers for Caltech. And the Nexus was a big part of his baby, spiritual to this. So what do we have here? Well, we have a bunch of igniters. So these are all the coils, and there are, what, 24? That adds up. And then over here is all of the injectors, and this should be more or less 8, 8, and 8. The funny thing about this to me is you see all of these over but properly sized gauged power lines. Well, all these power wires are all connected from all 24 ignition coils and all 24 injectors. This wire, which is, okay, that's pretty decently sized. Then it goes to a 30 amp fuse. So I've blown 30 amp fuses on my 3-rotor, so that's 6 of them. Times that by 4, 30 times 4 is 120. So 120 to 150 amps at full tilt if these things are dwelling for quite a while to run this engine. So 30 amps won't cut it. We're gonna run our own circuit for just the coils, and then these will actually all combine to one 25 amp circuit on the Caltech. So it's nice to see how it was done, take it to the next level. So I'm actually not going to redo this immediately. So we're gonna cut it and keep that part, maybe redo some of this, but reuse the bodies at the very least. But I'm just gonna cut the sections and then make the core harness first instead of redoing what's already here. In between me doing my taxes, these guys interrupted me with really boring work. And somehow, I'm out here with Rob, everything's looking good, and then Joel comes out here and I follow, and somehow now things are tacked backwards.
It was a long weekend.
What did Joel do? We will never know. What are...
Oh,
okay,
there we go.
Okay.
In one piece too, that's the best.
He's about to weld it.
I'm pretty excited because they did some aesthetic things where both sides are the same height. They're gonna turn this into this.
I usually do 3 like this at first, just so you get all the way around and you can get in that manifold ussy. So you got to be able to weld all the way around each runner.
So how do you do the last one?
Very carefully, but it's a lot easier to do one all the way around, and if you have to weld it from the inside, you can make that happen as well, but you don't want to do it on every single one.
This is real. Honestly, we've had so many people stopping by randomly, and I think it's just because they're driving by it, they see shiny, and the shiny keeps growing out of control. This is organic, it's beautiful, it's terrifying. While I'm currently working on random shit for the IndyCar, it's neat to go, man, this is actually way easier because we're just doing it piece by piece. And you know, there's some drawbacks to that, but not when we go to make the power this thing's gonna make. We had to work a little bit of magic and use old turbos off of the 4-rotor and the housings from it, but they line up with the new ones. We just aren't busting out the new turbos just yet. But there you have it. All 3 G55 turbos all on one engine. This is ridiculous. This is foolish. This is absolutely beautiful.